All right, so we're back to the second part. Now, in the second part, we got the permissions, okay, so we don't have to repeat that stuff for the map, but we need to use the map kit. So I'm going to go to the main storyboard, and here is my screen. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to add a toolbar. And then we're going to put that. Obviously, you need to use auto layout to make sure that this happens properly. And this one, we're going to make that called zoom. So we can zoom to the current location. And I'm going to add here segmented control. So here, I'm going to add segmented control. And then I'm going to put a spacer between these two. So one of them on the other side. So how do we do that? You just simply click on spacer. So you can use fixed or flexible. So I'm going to use flexible spacer. So now you notice that it will push that one to the other side. If you haven't used segmented controls, so we need to configure the segmented control. We have in the properties, we have the first segment is 0, and we're going to change that to standard, just map. The second one is going to be, you can select it from here. The second one is going to be, instead of second, it's going to be satellite view, all right? And after that, we want to make our connections. But before we do that, let's add the map. So I'm going to add in here, plus map view, and then we can make that map. Again, you need to use auto layout to make this, to make your app look professional. And one of the options here in the map view, you can show user location. You can do it within here, within the interface builder, but sometimes it's finicky, it doesn't work, and we can do it in the code. So I'm gonna put show user location here. You see as you select the map view, and then here you can select user location. And you can enable and disable certain features for that map view. In addition to that, you can select the type, but we're going to do the type from within the app. So you can use the standard, which is just a map, satellite, hybrid, which is both of them, satellite flyover, hybrid flyover, and muted standard, all right? So the most common one is just the map and SAT, but you can play around with these things. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to create my outlet. So I'm going to show the assistant for this guy. And I already have some functions defined for this guy here, the outlet. So I'm just going to simply create my connections. All right, so I have this. I'm going to, I don't know why is it showing. So I'm from here to here. And I'm going to call that map view, right? So that's my map view. I don't know why we have this one. Should delete it, so I'll delete that later. All right. The next thing I want to do, I have already these actions for zoom. So I'm going to right-click on the bar button and then connect it to this, right-click and connect it to this function zoom. So now, if it doesn't exist in your code, you just simply do an action, and then it's going to be a sender, right? The other thing that I want to do is that the map type. I'm going to do that from the segmented control. Again, I will connect it to this. And this one, notice that when you click the action, make sure it's called sender, but make sure the type is UI segmented control, because we want to know, did you click on the 0 element or did you click on the 1 element? So we know what map view do we show, all right? And that's it. Yeah, one more thing that we need to do, and then I will, I don't know if we will have time to do it in this part, but I'll do it now, so you'll be familiar with it, and then if we need to do another video on this. The other thing that I'm going to do is that I am going to add, we want to use the long press gesture. So when you press for a long time on your map, we will drop a pin where you are dropping where you are pressing. Okay, so we need to select the view controller first, and then we click on the library, and then here we have long press gesture. What you do, you simply click on that and drop it over the map view. Now, if you look at the document outline, you have a long press gesture. I actually have two. Let me make sure. I'm going to delete those, okay? Delete those and do them again. Okay, just to make sure. And do I have long press gestures here? No. I just want to make sure that we are dealing with the right one. So let's say we don't have the long press gesture yet. So you simply click on the plus. Again, you type in long press gesture, drop it here, and here's my gesture. All right. So when I click on this map for a long time, I want to tie this to an action. You can do it in the programs, but why do you want to do it that way? Because we already have a function called long press gesture. Now let's say you don't have that, okay, and then you want to add one. How do you add it for the long press gesture? So you just simply right click from here to here, and it is an action, and I'm going to say add annotation. All right. Add annotation. And then the type, here's what I was talking to you about. Make sure you change it to long press gesture. All right. So now we got all the setup done for the map. Now all we have to do is go back and do some programming in the view controller. But to make sure that everything is working fine, at least with the navigations, and because we added all these controls, now if I run this, and if I click on the map, okay, it shows me the map, it shows me the current location, so that's fine, that's good. But what happened to our view control toolbar controller? All right, so there's a problem with that. Okay, so what do we need to do? What we need to do, if we go back here, and let's make that, again, I told you, you need to make sure that, just for sake of time, we need to make sure that you use auto layout. So this one is pinned to the bottom. Let me just make sure that we'll still see that. Yeah, all right, so that is showing now, okay? And that blue thing is actually your current user position. Why? Because in the map it says show current user position. So we got that. Now we need to program the zoom. We need to program these things. When we switch, we need to switch. When we toggle these this segmented control, we want to display the proper map type. All right. So let's go do that in the map view controller. So if I go to the map view controller, in the zoom, what we have to do, we need to create a region. And the region that we want to create, it's based on the current user location. You can zoom to any point you want as long as you have the coordinates, which is made of longitude and latitude. But we want to zoom at where the user position is. So how do I do that? So if I say, if let current position equal from the map view dot user location dot location, and it's an optional, and that's why I have optional binding. It says if we actually have a value and it's not null, give me the coordinates of the current user location. So if I get the coordinate of the current user position, what's going on here? If let current position equal, okay, coordinate. All right. All right. That was still a mistake. There was an if statement. There was a L instead of I here. Okay, so that was the problem. So if we have the current user location and the coordinate, because it is an optional variable, because you might not get the user current location, what do we want to do? We want to create a region. So let a region, and the region is, it has a center point, and it has around it parameters. So you can say the distance from the center point, how much do you want it to span from latitude in meters and longitude in meters. So if I say it is, this region is called MK, the class for this is coordinate region. In the past, we used span, so coordinate region, and then what do we want? We want the center, and we want the latitude and longitude in meters. The center is going to be the current position. And this, it depends on how close do you want to zoom to your current position. So if you say 1,000 meter, that means you're looking at a region with the center 1,000 meter from the latitude and the 1,000 meter on longitude. So, and then this one, we do the same thing. We're going to make it 1,000 meter. Now you can play with this. You can make it 1,000, 2,000. It depends on your preference and what you're trying to do. And finally, you say map view dot set region what? To the region you just created, which is region. And then you will make it animated, so it will give you a nice feature, which is going to be true. Okay. Let's test this part at least to make sure that this part is working. So now if I run the application, these breakpoints, and so the simulator. Now, what we should do when we click on the map, it shows me the current position. Now, if I click on zoom, voila. So it's zoomed closer to the point that I'm looking at. And now we wanted to do that map and set. Now, how do you change these coordinates, by the way? In your simulator, if you look at the debug, I believe, no, one of them here, do you see that? In the features, you see locations. And you can custom your location to whatever you want it to be. So I have this in this position, but if you wanted to change it, you can change it like this. Just put any point of interest that you have, okay? Now it's gonna take us to a different location, all right? So back, you click on map. Now if I click on zoom, it takes me somewhere inland, all right? So that's if you want to test your position on the on a simulator. Okay, so that works. Now we need to program this map type. So how do we do it? I said we have the segmented control, and then you need to say if segmented control or sender dot selected index. I believe it's called selected index. Yeah, selected index. Segment index, if it's equal to 0, that means what? It means that you've selected map, all right? And we want to say map view dot set, map view dot type, map type, and standard is the one for the regular map. Else, because we have only 2 options, is we're going to do what? We're going to change it to satellite. All right, so map view dot map type, And this is going to be satellite. Okay, so you can do that. You can have other options as well, right? So that is your how we changed the map type. I know this works, so I'm going to skip to the next one. This one here, I'm going to add, when we press here, this is a tricky part. What we want is that we want to get where we pressed on the map. Now, after that, we need to figure out, take where we pressed on the map and to actually change it to a location. And that location has two coordinates, which is the latitude and longitude. But you can see that how do we get that? Where do we get that from? We need to get that from, for example, say, let press point equal sender where you press on the screen, that location, and then where you pressed in a view. Now, it's a map view, so I need to give it the map view that I pressed in, I pressed on. So here is going to be map view. So that will give you where you pressed on that map. After you figure out that point, you can take that point and generate a location from it. So how do we do this part? We say let location equal map view dot convert where I pressed what? Where I pressed convert the point that I pressed at to what? To coordinate. All right. So do you see this? It says where you pressed to a coordinate. All right. So if I give it the point where I pressed in the map view, and this is really, really cute feature because you can press anywhere on that view, on that map, and then it convert it to a coordinate, which is a great help. All right, so you can just say here, what do we press? We pressed on the press point, and then we wanted to convert it to coordinate from, so not this, to coordinate. All right, we need to use the coordinate. Okay, let me just type it here. And what we are doing it? We are actually using we're using the map view again. All right, let me make sure that works. I highly doubt it. Let me pause this and then do this part, and then I'll show it to you in a minute. All right, so this is the function that you will need to use, location map view, convert where you pressed to a coordinate from the map view that you pressed on. All right. The next thing you need to do is that you can take this point and add it to your map. So how I am going to add it to my map, we're going to use annotations. So say let annotation equal mk point annotation, and then you pass to it no need to pass, and we need to set the properties of these annotations. The first two things that we need to set, one of them is the location, the other thing is the title, and after that we simply add it to the map. So if you say here, for example, if you say here annotation dot location, the coordinate equal the location that we received from the map. All right. After that, we say annotation dot title. I want to go here. Finally, we add it to the map. So map view dot add annotation, and then we give it the annotation, which is the one we just created, which is annotation. All right. So let's test that and see what happens. Okay, you don't need that function, but what I was going to do with that function, you just simply, instead of repeating this every time you want to add an annotation, you just simply call that function. But you can do it in that function or just leave it here. So now if we run it, and then I click on map, and now if I click here, I got something, and then I got, okay, there's something not right here. It should be actually when you click, it will add that location. So there's something is not working properly. All right. Let me figure out what it is. Okay, symbol convert to coordinates from view. And we say get the location annotation. All right. All right, so let me figure it out and let you know. All right, so I'm back. There was a silly mistake, and the silly mistake, I knew I had this stupid thing here. I needed to delete it. All right, I did delete it. So what happens is that instead of typing in map view capital V, that's the map that I'm actually tied to this view controller. So the problem was with this small v. So now if I run it again, watch what will happen. So now if I click on maps, and then watch, if I click in here, and it gave me that annotation. If I click in here, if I press longer, you get another annotation. All right? But maybe you don't want all these annotations. And how do we clear? If you want only one annotation in your map, then you need to clear all these annotations. So before you add an annotation, there is a way to delete all these annotations. So the first thing you need to do is that you say let all annotations equal map view. Again, I'm going to use the right map view. Get annotations. All right. And that will give you an array of all the annotations. Now you can use the map view again to remove all those annotations. So you can say map view dot remove annotations, and then you give it the array that you got from the annotations from the map view, and then finally you say remove annotations. Oh, we did that already. Okay, we did that. All right, so now if you save this, when you run it, now if you click on map, watch, zoom will work, sat will work, maps will work, annotation long press will work. If you press anywhere else for a long time, all the annotations will disappear, and then this annotation shows up. All right, so that will give you enough to get dangerous with core locations. You can do a lot more, and I'm gonna we're not gonna have any more on this, but definitely will get you started to do a lot more. The last one more thing is that if you would want to do add annotation, all you need to do is that you need to create a coordinate with the positions, CLL position, like CLL location, coordinate 2D, and then that will give you coordinate 2D. That will give you what needed to set the longitude and latitude, and you can use that to add the annotation. I will see you on the next topic, and see you again.